You're watching ASOTUCon 2024, presented in collaboration with Reynolds and Gubagoo.
We thought we would start day 2 with the rookie crew. Yeah, I know. If any of you know that's not the truth. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me today. I'm going to they introduced us, but we're going to start with a little context to the conversation. Fixed ops retention is a growing conversation, has been a growing conversation over the last 24 months, especially like through the inventory crisis. Everyone started to lean into this, fixed ops conversation. I think coming out of it now, inventory is coming back, profits being squeezed. Everyone still happens to be looking at fixed ops. Funny thing about that. You three have an opinion on this. And I think sharing some of the things you're doing in your stores with some of the other people that are here or see the content later, it's gonna be very effective because you have the 3 best retention numbers that I personally know of. And so we're just gonna have a conversation. We're gonna kick it around a little bit. I wanna start though with you just explaining a little bit about your operation, what your retention looks like, and then we're gonna talk about things like what kind of culture do you have to build in your store to have this type of retention, what kind of systems, what kind of mindset you train your team with and you have personally going into it. So there you go. I hope you ate your eggs and French toast and drank some coffee and have your notebooks ready. So let's start with our good friend, Ed Roberts.
Good morning, Ed Roberts, COO, Bozard Ford Lincoln. And just to give you a little insight on our service operation, we have 127 technicians in 98 bays and 16 mobile units to take care of our customers.
Patrick Abad, General Manager at Beaver Toyota in Cumming, Georgia. We do roughly 4,500 to 5,000 customer pay tickets a month. We sell somewhere between 550 to 600 cars, and our retention numbers are, to Paul's point, it's pretty awesome. There's 177 stores in Southeast Toyota. 80 of them are Metro Point dealers. We are currently the #1 dealership with retention in Southeast Toyota. Out of Metro dealers, out of the entire Southeast Toyota, we're #6.
Dan Bannister, Bannister Automotive. I have 2 Nissan dealerships, Ford dealership, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and a Mitsubishi dealership. My eldest stores, my Nissan stores, one in Chesapeake, first year retention is about 85%. And the 7-year retention is at about 44%. So, and then the Norfolk stores is pretty similar. Ford, working on that, and my 2 new acquisitions, retention has not been that good. I've only had them for 2 months, but changing the culture and the personnel and the processes we put in place, I know that we'll be able to do the same thing at those stores also.
Then let me just stay with you for a second, Dan. You said the culture's not that good. Let's talk about the culture of high retention. Describe the ideal culture for a high retention store.
Well, for me, it's everybody, you kind of use this analogy when you go to a Burger King or McDonald's, or you go to a Chick-fil-A. One of the first things that I want to see when people come in, when I'm looking at hiring somebody, is their personality. Are they warm and welcoming? Do they know how to have empathy? And for me, I believe my primary job is to make sure that I provide the people a great working environment. So when they come in the morning, they have a smile, and when they leave, they have a smile. And if I've done that, people that love where they work, they're going to give customers great, experience. So, and you can tell, any place you go, you can see where people really like where they work and where they don't. And so that's what I really want to instill, and have those people that are like-minded and that want to take care of the customer first.
Gentlemen, comments on that? Or
well, I'll say this. There's 2 principles that I think are important if you want powerful, strong retention. It's to live in the truth. I think that's a big piece, and I'll explain what I mean by that. And create a culture where it's free to fail. If you live in the truth, the majority of dealers do a decent job, right? They do a good job with service. But living in the truth is saying to yourself, I know I did 250 service tickets today and they weren't all perfect. So you got to start there, because if you want people to come back, you got to create a place where they feel it's okay to do so. So when I say live in the truth, identify the fact that something's broken. And one of the ways to do that is survey your customers. Now, I'm not talking about the manufacturer survey. I actually think if you want a takeaway on changing retention, stop paying your people on CSI. The problem when you pay people on CSI is you get a manipulated score. Doesn't matter who you are. There's somebody in your dealership who's going to manipulate the score by taking it, and the worst thing you can do is remove the email address because I think they had a bad experience. So when you pay people off that, you get a manipulated score. The actual factory surveys will tell you what's wrong, but you've got to create an environment where it's safe for people to talk about what's wrong, because you can't fix the problem unless you know what it is. And I think sometimes that when you're a general manager, or CEO, or COO, you don't pay attention to those things, and I think pay plan's driving that.
So, and you said free to fail was the second part of that.
So when I say that is people, there's two reasons people will do those things, right? One is the pay, and then the other part is, oh no, if we identify we have a problem, what's gonna happen to me? So I think an environment where your people feel like it's okay to make a mistake as long as you learn and grow from it, and I think too many times we're so harsh when we have a problem. I'm not gonna pitch anybody's software or anything like that, but we have a tool that at the end of the night, we get feedback on our surveys. This is a big piece, sorry, I don't wanna miss this.
We have time.
Don't survey your customers if you're not gonna do anything about it. It's literally worse than doing nothing, right? But when you get those surveys, your people gotta know that you are going to, not just your people, but your customers, both of them have to understand that when you get those surveys, you're gonna do something with them.
I'm curious, because Ed's smiling, nodding, thumbs upping. I know you have perspectives on this. What software do you use?
For that part, it's Update Promise.
What is it?
Update Promise.
Update Promise. That's fine, I think. Yeah. You're not pitching software. I think people are like, that sounds great. What do you use? Yeah. Ed, you have a lot you've been holding back.
Well, these guys are hitting it. It's culture. And all of our stores, whether we believe it or not, is driven by culture, whether it's good, bad, desirable, undesirable, whatever it is, that's what drives our store. And we got to take care of our people for our people to take care of our customers. And one of the things that we live by at our store is everybody knows why we exist. And it may sound like we exist because we sell cars. We're here to sell cars. We exist to enrich the lives of others. Well, when we exist to enrich the lives of others, others is everybody at some point. So for me, it's the ones around me. For them, it's the ones around them. And I'm in those. So if we are there to enrich the lives of others, that encompasses our customers, it encompasses our people, it encompasses everybody. And when we take care of our people, they will help us remove the friction that our customers have to go through. And then they, in turn, take care of our customers better than anybody can and will.
If possible, sound team, is it possible to get just a little bit in the stage monitors? Just a little bit, so we can hear ourselves just a little bit better. Okay, so what I hear all of you saying is that you're not gonna fix, perfect, thank you, is that you're not gonna fix it with a tool, you're not gonna fix it with a piece of software, you're not gonna fix it with, you're not gonna improve retention with a hack. It sounds like a lot of work and a lot of intentionality.
There's a lot of good technology out there, but technology does not fix anything. Technology should enhance the process we have in place. So if we don't have an effective process in place, technology is not going to fix that. A lot of times we chase technology to fix an issue, and it's not there to fix an issue, it's there to enhance what we already do. So work on the process, then let the technology enhance that.
Could you actually put the other speakers in the stage monitors as well, about the same level? Thank you.
So I would say, and I love technology, everybody knows that, I try anything. But I think when it comes to retention, because that's what this conversation is about, I think actually your people having pride in what they do is so important. I always believe that if you fix it fast and you fix it right, they'll come back. But I actually think it's deeper than that today.
Okay.
I think the people have to have pride in their work, and I think a lot of times, and this goes back to pay again, a lot of fixed ops managers, service directors are paid on net profit of the department. So when their people need something, they think about it. They think twice before they do something because they're looking to protect the net. And I think you gotta be careful with that stuff because you want people to take pride in their work, but you don't give them the tools they need to do their job. And I think it's a missing piece. I think sometimes because we're so caught up in the pay of it that we miss major important steps. I think and I got to throw this out, I'm sorry. So if anybody who was here, ASOTU number 1, right? I think it was on a session, me, Liza, and Brian. I think what Brian did yesterday, he got on stage and talked about how he painted his technician break room is like a breakthrough in this industry, right? And I say that because taking care of your technicians, right, pride in their work, that all ties right back to retention. Because the quality of work they do, if you have a facility and a dealership and processes that take care of your people, they'll turn right back and go start taking care of the customers because of that pride.
That's a very linear
Surely.
ROI is what you're saying. Like you see it. How fast, so if somebody's here and they're thinking, okay, this sounds good, I want to start to do things that make my team, my technicians, increase pride in what they're doing, right? I'm a specialist, I'm elite, how long do you think that starts to transit? How long does it take to get from that thing you did for the technicians to the customer?
I don't have an answer on that. I'll tell you why. Because everybody's different, right? Everybody responds different. So
Pride is instantaneous, and when we can give them pride in what they do, that's instantaneous, that the customer feels instantly. So it's ongoing, it builds over time, it compounds, but a lot of the elements of it's instantaneous.
Dan, how have you seen, if you have a comment
I
on this,
think,
that's fine.
going back, we all make mistakes. We all do things that, that we may not have wanted to do, or things didn't go the right way. But, for the consumer, it's not that we made a mistake, it's how we address it and how we handle it. Can they get to the person right away on the phone or email or whatever? And that's what I make sure that we do, because we make mistakes, but we got to address it quickly. And I empower my people to make decisions so they don't have to talk to a manager every single time. Hey, we messed this up. Just fix it. We'll figure out how we're going to pay for it later, but we're just going to take care of it, because that's what most consumers want to see. They want to see that that their voices are being heard and we address their issues. So we really try to focus on that. I'm sorry, the next part of your question?
No, I think this is a great thread. Let's talk about fixing mistakes, because, Patrick, you say, I think the majority of dealers do an okay job, right? And if I go in for service, I'm either going to have a situation where it's fine, right? I went in, I had an appointment maybe, it was fixed, there was some okay communication, got fixed, okay, like no one likes going to service for anything, but that's all right. Next level up, I was really surprised by the level of service I've gotten. I had a wow moment. I had an experience there that I didn't expect that was positive, right? That's obviously, I'm gonna go back there next time. The other one is something didn't go right. And that could go one of two ways, right? Something didn't go right and it just became a fight to get it right. Or something didn't go right and, actually one of three ways. Something didn't go right and it was fixed. Okay, that was a pain, but they got fixed. Or something didn't go right and now I'm really impressed. Right? So how do you put some boundaries on how you fix things? Because there is a lot of fear in giving too much authority away, right? Maybe it's protecting the net. How do you set parameters
I think
on
you
what
just said it. You made a key comment that, when things go wrong, those are opportunities to show the customer how much you really care about them and fix it quickly. So if we do that, that bad experience turned into one of the best experiences. Hey, I went in there and this happened, but you should see what the dealership did to fix it, and I'm very happy now and I'll always go back. And that's where I think a lot of the loyalty comes from, is that, when the issues happen, because, if there's no issues, everybody's happy, there's no problem. But when there's issues happen, how do you address it? How quick do you do it? And the people are empowered to do it, and that's where the loyalty, in my opinion, comes from.
The Harvard Business Journal did a study, and I think it's one of the most, we talk about it on our sales and leadership meetings all the time, that when somebody has a good experience, they come back 50% of the time, and we're talking retention. But if they have a bad experience and you fix it at the lowest possible level at the store, the lowest possible level, they come back 84% of the time. So if you get really good at fixing problems, you get really good at retention.
Because problems are gonna happen.
Every day.
Right.
They're happening right now in my store. Somebody's screwing something up. How do you identify it and then fix it at the lowest possible level? If it has to make it to the general manager, fixed ops director, service manager, that's where it becomes an issue, right? Let me check with my boss. Let me check with my boss. Let me check. He's on a meeting. He's in a call. He's doing all that nonsense. Give your people the empowerment and then let them make a few mistakes. Because when they make mistakes, that's how they learn and grow. Again, it goes back to what we talked about in the beginning about being free to fail. It's okay to make mistakes. I had I've got a guy who gave away a transmission. And you know what? That was very expensive. Extremely expensive. And we talk about those things, but it was the right thing to do, right? So
I've heard you say, I've had probably more exposure to your store than the other two just because I've been on the ground a little more. And I've heard you use a phrase that sounds like this: go get in trouble, right? Explain what you mean. Because I've heard you say it to your BDC. I've heard you say it to your service advisors. What do you mean by that?
So when I say go get in trouble, go do something so good for our customers that it could piss me off, right? I think that's the type of culture I want. I want people that are so into fixing problems that they actually could get in trouble for what they have done. Because
Transmission.
like a transmission.
So what I'm hearing there is empowerment, and that's exactly what it is. We have to empower our people. Just think about what's happening here. We all make mistakes every day. This conference, there's been things that's went wrong yesterday, probably some already today, but nobody's tugging on Paul or Cal for all those things. They're empowered to go fix it, and that's what our people have to be. And the reason why they come back 34% more when there is a mistake is because our customers don't have the trust in us that we're going to do the right thing. And then when we do the right thing and we take care of it when something goes wrong, that builds those layers of trust. And you're more apt to do business with people that you trust than you are the ones that you've never had an issue with. That's why they come back, because we're building layers of trust. And it starts with empowerment.
What are some of the parameters you put on empowerment? Because that's always the first question. How broad, right? Like everybody might not be like, go do something that might piss me off. They might not be there. But like, what are some practical boundaries we can maybe provide as thought starters for some of the people here?
So anytime we try to put guidelines on empowerment, it makes people question what they should do. And so, like he said, do something that pissed me off. Well, the thing I asked our people is, what's the right thing to do? And they don't have to tell me what the right thing to do is. They just go do it. So what's the right thing to do? That's their level of empowerment. Go do the next right thing.
That's pretty broad, which means it's pretty scary. But you just said the moment we put a guideline on it, people start to question, which is not what we want them to do if we want to fix it fast and at the lowest possible level. So you say, do the next right thing. You say, go get in trouble. Dan, do you have any boundaries or guidelines that your people
No,
are
I think
with?
they nailed it. I mean, once you start putting boundaries around, then people start getting scared. They start second guessing themselves. So if somebody makes a decision, it's a quick decision, and I don't like this decision. They're not going to get in trouble for it, but we're going to discuss it and say, how could we have done things a little bit differently and all that. But I don't want anybody running scared to make a decision. The worst decision, it's a cliche, is not making a decision at all.
Right. Well, the flip side of it is when people don't make a decision, you might not hear about it, right? Or if they make a decision like they don't feel empowered to go all the way and they just kind of like make it go away, that's the worst kind because you're never going to hear about it. At least if they make a decision, maybe they spend a lot of money, maybe they do whatever. You said now it's an opportunity to discuss what went wrong, right? And maybe celebrate how we made it right. Do you bring these situations? Is there a mechanism you have to share this? Because it feels like the next reasonable thing, if you want to increase this in your culture, is get people to do it, get people to go far for the customer, to maybe get in trouble or maybe, and then like, what do you do with the person that did that? Do you spin that up to the top in the next morning meeting and say, hey, here's what happened, here's how we made it right, this is why that was good, why it wasn't good? Do you have a mechanism for doing that?
Yeah, well, that's what we do, and we have meetings every morning, and we discuss what went right and what went wrong the previous day, and celebrate those things that we messed up, but we fixed right, and the customer's happy, and have those discussions so people see that they're not going to get disciplined or in trouble because they made a decision. We discuss decisions that weren't made, the ones that were made, more than the other.
So in our CCC, which is our call center, BDC, it's so cool because Ashton's team will shoot me text messages every time they're trying to get in trouble. And I celebrate it with them. I think it's super cool. But no, I think we don't do enough of celebrating the times that we've taken that customer because it just becomes the norm. It should be the norm. Like fixing problems should be the norm. And
so it sounds like you have maybe an unofficial mechanism, but a mechanism as it's in process happening, someone goes, hey boss, look at this. This is like it's currently a good thing or a problem being fixed is unfolding, they obviously feel safe to do that because Ashton, BDC manager, is like, hey, there was a problem. Here's how we're fixing it. She knows that you're not going to overreact to it. She knows that you're actually going to step into it and say, this is a good thing. Like, let's watch this like, little chick come out of the egg, and then we're all going to celebrate it. That sounds like a really healthy real-time thing. And like, I mean, I have a 4-year-old, right? Very determined 4-year-old. He's not here yet, or we would all know it probably. And like, when you're raising a child, it's like, let's reward the behavior immediately, like as it's happening, because if you wait too long, it's like it just loses some of its oomph, I guess. Ed, do you have what's your mechanism for like seeing these things in progress, rewarding them, celebrating them, correcting them?
There's something to learn from every situation, and if you don't take every situation to learn from it, then it's failure to everyone around you. Meaning that if someone makes a mistake and you correct it for them, they don't know that made a mistake, and they will go do the same thing over and over again. If you highlight that and make them part of the solution, now they've learned as well. And then if it is something that could be duplicated throughout the building or throughout the department, then that's something we would talk about in a departmental meeting to prevent it from happening again. But every situation, there's something to learn from. And if you capitalize those on opportunities to get better rather than opportunities to correct someone, then the entire team gets better, and the entire team will support each other to prevent those things from happening.
There's a lot of moving parts, no pun intended, in fixed ops. And you have advisors, managers, parts department, sales interactions. How do you start to unify the front of the house and the back of the house around retention? Because I don't hear a lot of conversation around that. But I always hear that it's a critical part of the customer experience because they're going to have experiences. Sales gets all the glory. Fixed ops gets all the interactions, actually. What are some of the things that you do to bring both sides of the house together to increase retention?
We don't start with silos. So there is no silos at our store, and we celebrate equally in all departments. We all work together. We can't do nothing in the back of the house without the front of the house selling something. And then the front of the house can't sell that next vehicle if we don't take care of them in the back of the house. So there is no silos. And there's situations that we could go over time after time again. And there's a mobile panel that you guys will hear later today where Jeremy will tell you that the number one supporter of our mobile team is the sales department because they understand the opportunity that's there for us. But it's tying everyone together for the same vision. And if we share that vision and push it down through all, then there is no departments. We are Bozard, and we are Beaver, and we are Bannister. And when those things happen, everybody's pushing in that direction, and then there is no fight, front of the house, back of the house, but you have to celebrate those victories equally. You can't just celebrate what happens up front. You can't just celebrate what happens in the back. And it can't just be the back guy celebrating when something happens in the back. It's the store celebrates. The store celebrates all victories.
You have any other thoughts?
Yeah, I think Ed's nailing that. I mean, that's the deal. They got to celebrate as one. But I also think it goes back to the actual people you employ in your company and what they're actually there for. And when you hire good people, not good car people, just good people, I think they all want that. I think that's a part of a human need, right? Is to feel part of something. So when you do what Ed's doing, and you create that one environment, I think that's how you fix that.
Yeah, for us, it's just one dealership, one goal. You know, we don't have the silos. I mean, I've seen other stores where people complain the parts fights with service and service parts fights with sales and all that. I've never experienced that in any of the stores that I've operated, so I can't really relate to that. Obviously, our number one goal is to take care of the consumer, and we do that, and we work together cohesively to do that. I've seen in other stores where the service people will send it up to sales. Oh, that's a sales issue. No, that's a service issue. Or they, back and forth.
Very common.
And they're bouncing the customer around. I can't stand that. And in the store that I just purchased, that's the culture that I walked into. And so that's changing, but it takes some time for people to understand that, we're not blaming another department. We're one store. We're not, service or parts or sales. And I think that's very important for people just to understand that we'll work together as a team and not as individuals.
And I'll add to that because it happens. Even in some of the best cultures, that stuff happens. But what you need to have is an environment where when the people do what he just said, they stand out, meaning the bad. right? When that advisor says that's a sales problem, we had it happen last week. I can nail the situation. We had it last week, but like 35 people called him out for saying, that's a sales problem, go see your salesman, right? That guy's now standing out in our culture, and people are looking at him like, oh, is he gonna make it?
Right, the
Is he
culture
gonna
police.
Literally, he made one statement, and people are saying to me, I don't think he's gonna make it.
Right.
Another element of that, when you celebrate together, they know each other. And that may sound very simplistic, but think about that for a moment. How many of your salespeople know your service advisors? How many of them do they even know their names? And so how can they effectively help a customer when they did sell a vehicle and it now has a service issue? How can they effectively help them if they don't even know them? They can't tell them who to go see. They just tell them, you got to go back to service. And then it's not their problem anymore. But when they celebrate together, they know each other. And then they know the best person for them is, let me take them back to see Alex. Alex can take care of that for them. And it makes it personal. And when we make it personal, that's when the customer wins.
What are some of the things that you all do to bring both sides of the team together? You know, Dan, you come from a sports background. Dan was actually a jockey. No, but you come from a high-level athletics background. You're involved in a lot of high-level athletics still through your kids and things like that. How do you bring that that kind of athletics mentality, because on teams, right, you have people with different roles, different responsibilities, but you have to win one game, and you have to, beat another team. How do you translate those two things, and what have you carried forward?
I don't know about beating another team. I mean, we try to just focus on what we do at the dealership, not what everybody else is doing. But it's the team atmosphere. When service has a great CSI month, we're all celebrating. When sales has that, or we're number one in the district, or we're number one in tire sales, everybody knows and everybody's congratulating. We'll have a little get together and celebrate. And it's important for to, like you said, break down the silos, not have a silo. So when one wins, everybody wins. Celebrating the service advisor of the month, celebrating the the salesperson of the month, and everybody knows and everybody is commenting and celebrating. So when one wins, we all win, and I think we just, no barriers, we all do it together.
So I got to chime in on that because that just kind of got danced over a bit, number one in tire sales, and we're up here to talk about service retention, and we avoid the things that we don't want to do, or we avoid the low gross items, but that is a huge, huge retention item, and if we're not taking care of the tires and the things that would normally we'd go somewhere else for, battery, those things, then if we don't take care of those things, then we're sending a customer to see someone else. And when we send them to see someone else, they're telling them, you don't need to go back to the dealer anymore. We can take care of everything you need here. Well, for them to be there, that's our fault. So we have to take those opportunities and run with them. And if we're not in the tire business, we're not in the retention business. That is a huge retention tool. So I didn't want to just dance over that because you threw it out there. There's a reason why he's up here on this stage with high retention and talking about being number one in tire sales.
Super practical. All right, let's talk about, so you wanted me to now I want to talk about the little things, which the little things all do add up. Let's talk about what are the components of a good customer experience, and as you see them, right? Because you just mentioned the little things, and I know dealerships could have this idea that if you go to a dealership, it's going to take longer, it's going to be more inconvenient, it's going to cost more money. What are some of the components of the customer experience that keeps people coming back that you focus on? We can start high level and then we can drill down.
Well, for me, some of the tools that I use, I know we talk about technology and we don't let it rule the roost, but I think I spoke about it last year, and one of the reasons why our tire sales are doing so well is our inspection system. Using UVI when a car goes through. It's like an MRI for a car, and it tells immediately what the tire depth is, if the alignment's off, if there's a leak, and all that kind of stuff. So when a customer comes to the lane, we have a big iPad or whatever it's called, and they can see themselves what's going on with the car. So for me, the transparency, so it's not the advisor selling them, it's showing them where they stand, and let's say if they're yellow and the tires are not ready to go change this time, but the next time they come in, they can see, hey, it's red, and they can go back and see this is where it was 6 months ago, this is where you are now, and it's the computer telling them that, and that's what everybody likes to do. And then just using the technology with with Tekion, we have Tekion, and it works real well together, so it'll store all the pictures for the customer's car, so they can see and not just have somebody tell them, but actually see where they are with the car. So retention and transparency, I think, goes a long way. So, and that's one thing that we've really focused on, is helping that technology to increase our retention and our sales.
So what I heard you say is that the technology is actually serving good process. The technology is not process. Good process is as fast as possible, give the customer transparent information to build trust.
Right. So, and I don't want to just go to sales, but, one of the things that we found is that, going through the inspection process, you write the customer up, and then you have to take the car back there, and then 20 or 30 minutes later, or 45 minutes later, you're coming back out with a consumer and say, hey, you need tires, you need this, you need brakes, and I've already been here an hour. I just get it done later.
Yeah.
But with UVI, once they get in the lane, right up, you need tires. Up, you need this. Oh, we need to check this. I mean, we're instantaneously say, hey, I know you came in for an oil change, but we have the tires that you're looking for. This is good, better, best. Which ones would you like to go with? And we can do it within the same time frame as what we would normally do for an oil change.
Go ahead.
So I'm a firm believer you never have to recover from a good start. And when that customer pulls up in the drive, I think people miss that opportunity to start the experience for it to be amazing. What does it look like? Are they greeted fast, right? Is it a messy situation? Who am I with? Where am I going? What am I doing? If a lot of people mystery shop their stores, they'll be surprised on what that experience actually looks like. So I think and you can use technology, things like RFID and that type of stuff, to kind of enhance that experience. But the reality is, I think fix should be, we work so hard on sales process and single point of contact or traditional, all these things we work so hard, and I think sometimes we miss it in service because the service advisors all kind of try to push the consumer down their way of how they write service. And I also think there's an opportunity there to spend a few minutes to say, how do you want to be communicated with? How do you want to hear about the recommendations, and serve that customer the way they actually want to be served, like we do in sales. I think it's a huge opportunity in fixed.
All right, hold on, Patrick. I'm going to make you a thought leader. Here, just look up like you're really smart. Look up like you're pondering. Well, that's not quite what I was thinking, but now I'm going to put the words, you never have to recover from a good start. We're going to post that.
So it's all in the details, and yes, that's phenomenal. But it's the details of, if we're going to address our customers by name, let's make sure that they can address us by name. It's having name tags on. It's by respecting their time. Dan talked about, we came to them and told them they need this, they need that, and they said, well, I'll get that done next time. When we leave customers to leave when we have customers leaving with a shopping list of what we told them they needs to be done, we've gave them a reason to go somewhere else because they didn't want to come to your store to begin with, and now you didn't take care of them, but you gave them a list of stuff that they need to take care of, so they're going to take care of it at their convenience to whoever they feel like they can take care of it. And then with that shopping list, they show up there and they're going to be giving them a better price because they want to win that customer. So when we give them that shopping list to leave with, we're giving them a reason to go somewhere else. If we respect that time in the beginning, and that becomes one of the first things that we talk to them about, now we can overcome the obstacles, maybe put them in a loaner car, and we're taking care of it now rather than putting them in a position to take care of it later. And later is not usually with us.
Yeah, that's a great point. We have a question from the audience, and you can ask questions. We have 7 minutes left, so we can probably handle a few questions. Just open the app, tap on the session. It should say live on it. If you just scroll down a little bit, you can ask a question. Here's a question. What should you replace CSI or NPS on pay plans to motivate staff to deliver great experiences? Oh, got a name. I don't know if that's anonymous or not, so I won't read the name.
So I heard one of them say, don't pay them on CSI, and we don't, and I don't want to pay people on CSI. And this will not be favored in the room, I don't think, but I don't use pay plans to drive behavior. I use the vision to drive the behavior. The pay plan is compensation for the job that they do.
Wait, you said you use what to drive behavior?
Vision.
Vision.
Drives the behavior.
Yeah, I wouldn't know I don't think you would actually replace CSI. My comment is to remove it. Because the reality is, if you have good CSI, you have good retention, your dollars per ticket, your labor hours, all that comes up when you have good service. You want to measure your people's performance and service. Your numbers tell you who's doing a good job and who's not.
Yeah, I mean, I think that retention is the biggest indicator of, it's your success or failure in sales and service. So I think that that's what we need to look at as retention, not just a good survey, because that creates bad behavior, left out email addresses, and, a bunch of cover-up. And, we don't want to focus on that. We want to focus on the great experience for the consumers, or bad ones, how we fix it and get it done quickly.
All right.
I want to chime on one more thing
Sure,
that we
please.
haven't talked about yet. A lot of times in dealers, in any business, not just dealers, we create processes that becomes efficient for us. Well, efficient for us isn't necessarily efficient for our customers, and it's not necessarily comfortable for our customers. So I challenge our team all the time to look at it through the customer lens. What is the customer going through? And let's build the process around the customer instead of around us, and then it becomes more seamless for our customer.
There's this idea of progression. We've talked about making things better for technicians or people, giving them more pride in what they do. Career pathing is a major component of that. If you're not going to compensate people on CSI or use pay plans as a motivator, and it's like as the only motivator, because pay plan is always a motivator, right? But how do you tie that to a career pathing and build the bench in your service department for people to move up through? What are some of the things that you do? Because a lot of the times, and we see this, and there's stories I'm sure in all of your dealerships where someone started as, a detailer or a lube tech, right? And they have seen the path and adopted the culture and moved their way up. So what are some of the things you're doing to build the bench and career pathing people as a way of casting vision for them personally to accomplish the things that you're doing that get you the retention?
Dealers as a whole has never embraced the element of training, and it was talked about a little bit yesterday. We don't have structured training in most of our stores. At Bozard, we have a lot of development programs, and those development programs are to make you better at what you do or what you desire to do. But also, without those silos there, a guy can go from being a technician to being a salesperson, or a salesperson can go from being a salesperson to a service advisor. And when you do those things, it ties together, and they look for what they feel like fits them the best. We try to determine what fits them best. We want to learn their strengths. We want to learn their opportunities. But when they have that opportunity to do that, then they find the role that they want to be in, and they embrace it. But additionally to that, when you develop your own people, you never build in the silos because they're part of Bozard. They're not part of the sales department. They're not part of the sales department that you hired them from. They're part of the store. And when they're part of the store, there's no silo.
What are some of the things you do intentionally to build career paths as a motivator?
So if Ed's an expert level tech and I'm a master tech, I know exactly, in our store, I know exactly what I need to do to get that $35 an hour he's getting, and I'm at 28. Whether it's I need 3 ASCs and another year of tenure, I think career pathing is the most important thing you can do for technicians. We post it in our service department. For example, our Express, a lot of people have seen it, a level 1 Express to a level 4 Express. So you're still an Express, but you can actually grow within the position you are. And up there is all the things you need to be certified in to get to the next level. It's the pay rate, the tenure pay rate, and the longer you're in each position, you get a little bit more money.
All in the open.
Wide out in the open. If a customer is back there, they'd see it. And I think it's an important piece because it's in front of them every single day. And we have that for a lot of positions in the store where they know what's next. And I think that's part of culture. People get stuck when they don't know what's next. So, and it doesn't matter how many times you tell them, sometimes it doesn't stick. That's why we like to post those things out there.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I've got some great stories, but one of them is I had a technician that was a lube tech, and he didn't want to even get his state inspector license. I encouraged him. This was 15 years ago. He didn't want to do it, kept pressing him, and now he's my service manager at my top performance store. And that type of stuff there, when people see that there's opportunities and see other people grow, that motivates other people. So you want to see somebody like me. I started out in sales, and now I own a couple stores. So you want to be able to see that there's opportunities. So when you see other people growing within the organization, they can say, they did it, I can do it. So I know we got short minutes.
Oh, thanks for paying attention to that for me. We have a minute left. How do you market to enhance retention, right? Not to get people to come in. What are just quick over the top, Dan, we'll start with you. We'll come back here and then I'll close this out. What are some of the marketing strategies you use to increase retention?
I don't really market for that. I mean, it's something that's built into the culture, and that people have a great experience and they come back. I don't think that I can send out a marketing message and say that, and it's going to resonate with anybody that hasn't been within the store.
So for us, the marketing actually for retention starts on the sales side. When we sell our cars, you get things like lifetime oil changes, lifetime loan of cars, and that is a key component to our retention. Because when you do these lifetime programs, it allows you sometimes to make those mistakes, and people say, I'm going to give them a second chance. Why? Because it's free.
It's free,
Right. Yeah. So it allows you to have sometimes a little bit, and I think that's what that marketing and retention is. It's a safety net for those times you do make mistakes. Because again, we're processing 250 customers a day.
It's like a "We Want You Back" campaign is very ineffective, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we get stuck into marketing and what it is, and we try not to send out anything that has a call to action. We want to be top of mind marketing. And the reason why we do that is I don't want someone waiting for that next car deal or waiting for that next coupon to do their oil change. I want them to come see me. I want to be top of mind. So we send things out through email, through video, through all kinds of different things, but it's never with a hook. It's never with a call to action. It's top of mind. And with top of mind, then when they need something, they're coming to you, rather than, let me wait another week and see if I get a coupon for that. I don't want to train them to wait. I want to train them to come in.
Well, there you go. If you don't have a few things written down or in your mind to go back and make an improvement, you haven't been paying attention, it means you ate too much French toast. Let's hear it for these gentlemen for sharing their insights with us today.